Good afternoon. Welcome to Wear Many Hats podcast. It's our 22nd episode today, and a really interesting one, actually. Another special episode where we're going to talk to an individual who's operated in the facilities management arena for multiple years and an expert in his chosen field. Today, we're joined by the Group Commercial Director and co-owner of Advanced Facilities Group, who's going to talk about everything M&E, everything hard services, and also his career to date. Hello, Steve. How you doing?
How are you doing? I'm fine, thank you. You okay?
Yeah, really, really good, thank you. Do you want to get straight into it in terms of the questions?
Go for it.
Yeah?
Let's see what you got.
So we've had a bit of a chat beforehand. We've had a little bit of chat about your career and things like that. So tell us a little bit about your career journey in facilities management, how it started, and tell us a little bit about how you are where you are now.
How it started. It's a bit of a strange one how I started, actually, because I dropped into the facilities, construction, maintenance arena about 20 years ago. Right. Completely by accident. Yeah. And when I say by accident, I mean by accident. A friend of mine used to work for a rather large drainage company. We got on really well. Our daughters played football, so my daughter is over in Australia doing the run at the moment. Really? So I'm in the garden one day, tidying the garden up before I flew out to Turkey that evening. And he popped round and said, "Look, have you got 5 minutes? I've got someone who wants to have a chat with you." Yeah. So I'm stood in the garden in a pair of shorts and a vest, tidying the garden. So, okay. Went round the corner to a big drainage company who was based around the corner and said, "Oh, right, okay, what do you want?" And it was two northern guys, one of the owners and one of the main directors there. Right. And they said, "Are you looking for a job?" I went, "Well, no, I'm actually the regional sales director for Pedigree Pet Foods." Right. So I used to sell fish food, and food and cat food. I said, "But if the offer's there and it's worth it, I'll have a chat." Yeah. And that was my start. I was literally flying to Turkey 4 hours later. So came back from Turkey. They phoned me again and, we really want you on board. I thought, well, give it a go. I don't know anything about drainage. Yeah. Don't know anything about facilities. Don't know anything about construction. Yeah. Completely new. I went in there, actually learned that I was really bloody good at it. Right. I picked it up very, very quickly. Yeah. Rose through the ranks. Quite quickly moved on to another company where they brought me in to take over everything in the north. Right. It was completely by accident. So from pet foods to facilities maintenance and drainage. That's a very interesting journey. It is. It's a weird one. Yeah, because you do hear a lot about sort of engineers and things like that moving into a sales role in that space, don't you? Yeah. But not someone who sells pet food. No, not into selling drainage, relining, unblocks, that side of things. Yeah. But from that, I got more and more involved in the hard services. I got more involved in construction, in civil. So around the built environment, I got more and more involved in that. Right. And again, I found that I picked it up very, very easily. Yeah. It wasn't. So from scratch, I picked it up very, very quickly. So you didn't struggle with like the technical elements of the role and things like that? No, I was good. I ended up designing drainage. I ended up designing things. I was a fixer. I was a problem solver. Wow. So I would get sent up and down the country to solve people's problems. Yeah. From a technical side, if someone had an issue and they think, "Oh, what do we do with it?" We've got no idea. I'd get sent literally up and down the country. Right. And, from one drainage company to a civils company to a relining company to a maintenance company, that's where everything for me started off. Right, so pet food was gone then. Pet food was gone. You'd found your space. I found my space, and I found the facilities industry. Oh, brilliant! To be fair, not dissimilar to a lot of our guests, actually, Steve. Yeah, we all tend to fall into it by accident, and you can never leave. Yeah, never, ever leave. Yeah, it gets in your blood, I think. Yes, it does get in your blood, and it's you know it so well. Why would you leave? I know this industry better than I know anything else. Yeah, I'm good at this industry. I know more people in this industry than I do anywhere else. Most of my friends, most of my acquaintances, everything is within this industry. So it's quite sad, really. I couldn't go anywhere else now. Do you know, something you touched on there is actually really relevant, the people piece. Yeah. I think the people within the industry, there's just lots of really good people across the industry as a whole. And that's what I've noticed over the years that I've operated in it. Just the different characters is a good way to explain. Well, you touched on it a little while ago. You said about engineers. And the thing with this industry is, I've just been with a brand new client today. and the guy that I'm dealing with is one of the main people there, but his boss was there, he's associate director. Now, he'd come from being a mobile engineer in a van, driving around all over the place fixing things, to now being an associate director for a multi-billion-pound company. Now, there aren't many industries around where you could go from doing something like that to a main director.
Completely agree.
And also, I know MDs who've come from the ground upwards. I know business owners who've come from the ground upwards. Yeah. There aren't many industries around where you could physically do that, and that's why it's such a great place to work.
I would actually say, Steve, that it's actually commonplace within our industry for people, in either executive leadership roles or, either company directors. I mean, I know company directors that have started as cleaners or security officers or engineers, similar to yourself. I know you didn't start as an engineer, but the individual you spoke about earlier that have risen through the ranks. So I think it's actually, we don't talk about the industry sometimes in that way from a learning and development piece, but that is actually that's something the industry should be proud of. We should pat ourselves on the back for that.
It should be. I mean, it should be massively proud. As I say, I mean, there aren't many you can name where you can go from right down there all the way up there to own your own business and I say I'm similar to you. I know companies that multi-million pound companies where the man in charge started off in a van or started off, cleaning or started off as an apprentice. Yeah. And you work your way through. And it's why it's such an amazing industry to work in.
Yeah, I completely agree. Yeah. I really do. So talk us through, I mean, obviously now, you're the group commercial director and co-owner of Advanced Facilities Group. So talk us about how you transitioned into that role and what that entails.
Again, by accident.
Right, okay.
I was working...
You have a lot of happy accidents, Steve.
Don't say that. That's not I was working as a freelance consultant for a large construction company who, unfortunately, as with large construction companies, like to hang on to their money quite a bit. Right. So I took a role as a freelance BDM. Right. For a company which is still, I won't mention the name, but they're still round and about now. Yeah. Met one of the owners, didn't meet the second one, met the second one weeks and weeks later. We hit it off, became good friends. After a few years, he decided that he didn't want to work at that company anymore. There was a lot of ethical issues with that company about what they were doing, how they were doing it, right? Which he didn't agree with, and I didn't agree with. So he left.
So it became kind of an integrity issue.
Yeah, really. It was a massive integrity issue. So he then left and set up, started off Advance. Right. Not long after, I was supposed to become a partner within that group. I was supposed to, promised all the things under the sun, but unfortunately, he did the same with me. He's basically went behind my back and had me over. Is a polite way of putting it.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
So I left and I joined Glenn Thompson, who's my business partner, and we pushed Advance forward. Right. That was actually 13 years now. No, 11 years now. Wow. July 2012. Yeah. 1st of July 2012. So we've been going 11 years.
Wow. So talk us through that 11-year journey. What was the start of the business and where is the business now? Both from turnover, capability, things like that.
Yeah, from where we are to where we start. I mean, we started in a one-room barn conversion in the middle of Kent. Right. Because that's literally where Glenn lived. Okay. With a young lady called Anya, who was then an apprentice, fresh out of college, 18 years old. Couldn't understand a word I was saying. Right. Because I'm Northern.
Right. I understand that more than most.
Yeah. She literally could not. She had to ask Glenn what I was saying sometimes. So she started straight out of school, as I say. So we grew it. We were predominantly at the beginning, because my industry was drainage, it was the easiest thing to get started.
Path of least resistance. Yeah. Do what you know.
Exactly. Course, yeah. So we started off on drainage, brought in a number of clients. Clients grew. And what we found and it's quite a weird thing. I don't know whether anyone has actually sussed this bit out yet, but we did a good job on the drainage. So they asked us to do other things. Yeah. It's amazing when you do something well.
It is, isn't it? Yeah.
To do something more. Yeah. So they came to us and said, actually, you're doing a good job on that. Do you guys do hard services, fabric works? Yeah, of course we do. Everyone goes, yes, of course we do. Then we'll figure out how we do it later.
Fake it till you make it.
Exactly.
Without a doubt. Completely agree.
That's the way. So we then brought in fabric engineers
Right.
And then it started to grow and grow from there. Someone come in, do you do electrical works? Yeah, of course we do.
Yeah.
I'm very good at saying yes, we do.
Yes.
You'll find that I'm very good at it. From there, it was the M&E works and civils works, and each division within the group has then started to grow and grow. And the majority of it was via existing clients.
Right.
So, we work for some of the biggest FM property management companies, not only in the UK, but in the world.
Right.
And, we started off doing 1 or 2 jobs for them. Then that became 4 or 5 jobs, then became 10, 15 jobs. And everything we did grew from that point.
Yeah.
So from scratch, we got up to COVID.
Yep.
The dreaded COVID.
Yes.
Especially for the facilities industry, which it nearly destroyed overnight.
Yeah.
We were turning over approximately about 4.85 million quid.
Yeah.
COVID hit. And as with a lot of companies who do what we do for a living, whether that's retail, commercial, all that side, the backside fell right out of the industry. Right out of the industry. So we dropped down, and I'll be perfectly honest, we dropped down to just over 2, nearly 2.5, within 12 months.
Wow.
Which is bad, but we'd done a few bits before COVID came along, which helped us. Pre-COVID, we were using a basic CAFM system to load jobs, to look after engineers, to do all the paperwork. But we decided about 12, 14 months before COVID hit that we would invest in a new system which would speed the jobs up, speed the paperwork up, help the engineers, give us the ability to work from site with tablets and all that side of things.
Yep.
So we planned ahead slightly, not for COVID, but we planned ahead for the growth of the business.
Yep.
So when COVID hit and we had to furlough staff, which we had to, like everyone else in the UK, really.
Yeah, you've got to protect the business as well.
Yeah, it was. It was protect the business and protect the staff that we kept on. We kept all the engineers.
Yep.
They carried on working because luckily we had clients where they still needed compliance work done. They still needed repairs doing.
Yeah.
But what we found was when we furloughed, the people who worked from home, the system actually worked.
Right.
We were ahead of the curve slightly on it. So I don't know if I'm allowed to mention the name of it. It's a system called Simpro. We were ahead of the curve on it. So, we could load the jobs quickly. We could get the engineers' paperwork to them. There was nothing manual for them to sign. It was all done via a tablet. So with that, it helped us through COVID. And so when we come out the other side of COVID, we were ready to go again. So we kept our engineering, our force. We kept on the majority of the staff. Some people didn't want to come back.
Yep.
As is like with a lot of different companies.
Well, it was the Great Resignation, wasn't it? People realigned their values, what they wanted from life. And, I think most industries are suffering, somewhat of a skills shortage in certain areas off the back of COVID.
Yeah, exactly. So as I say, when we came back into the office, it meant we could start running straight away.
Yeah.
It meant we could run straight away. So that aided us with clients because a lot of companies didn't come back.
Yep.
So, it's terrible to say, but we picked up a lot of work on the back of it through companies who weren't ready for something like COVID or had not made plans or had not made backup plans.
So they didn't have. So your advice there would be the right kind of business continuity plan is essential.
It's forward thinking. You've got to plan for the worst case scenario. If it doesn't happen, then you're in front.
Yeah.
And you've always got a plan for the future of the business.
Yeah.
As I say, with the Simpro stuff we had, it future-proofed the engineers. So we got rid of the paperwork. We could get things signed. We could put a tablet on a table. They could sign it.
Yeah.
And we could walk away. We didn't have to do anything. We didn't have to swap paperwork, swap anything else. It meant we could close jobs down straight away.
Yeah.
It meant we could push everything forward quickly. And that's what we've done. As I say, from halving our turnover at the start of COVID, or when COVID finished, we've now gone up. So I think this year we're going to turn over just short of 7 million quid.
Wow.
So from dropping down to 2, COVID, up to there, it just shows you the growth of the company.
Yeah, so basically you've gone from 4 to 2, during COVID, and then you've gone from 4 to 6 after COVID, really. Yeah. So, a swing of 4 million in quite a short period of time.
It is, but that, again, comes down to the fact that we understand that the king in all of this is the client. We understand that, if you do a good job for someone, you look after that someone's work, then those people will come back to you.
Completely agree.
And that's the philosophy we've got. We don't lose many clients.
Yep.
Which is key. And we seem to win a lot of clients. We get a lot of clients coming to us because they're dissatisfied elsewhere.
Right.
We get a lot of clients who come to us because people who've dealt with us in the past have moved companies.
Yeah.
They've moved on somewhere else. They've took a promotion and gone somewhere else. And we tend to find that, the first thing they'll do is phone us.
Yeah, they take those relationships with them.
Exactly.
Without doubt. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's really interesting. But really interesting for our listeners as well in terms of that story during that COVID experience, how a business struggled, looked at technology as a way to support how you operate, moved everything to the cloud, and then on the back end, everything was a lot better. I'm guessing how your operation worked, how your engineers worked with the systems and things like that. It was a massive benefit with that forward thinking.
It was, and as I say, it's all. If you do a job for me, I want the paperwork signed. I want to see the risk and method statements. I want to see all of this quick because I want the job doing. So we can now do that very, very quickly with with the systems we have. And it was a massive benefit for us.
Oh, of course.
Massive benefit.
Oh, brilliant. Good stuff. That's great. Thank you very much, Steve. That's a really interesting story. Okay, so obviously we know the sector that you work in. But how do you think your sector has evolved specifically? So how has Hard Services M&E had to, we've talked obviously about technology and how that helps you, but how has it evolved in the last 5 years? Let's forget COVID, but the last 5 years.
In the last 5 years, as I say, it is, I'll be perfectly honest with you, I'm from an age of doing this job where corners weren't so much cut, but they didn't exist.
Yeah. I like that statement.
They literally didn't exist. And some of the stories, I'll write a book one day, and some of the stories in the short and the corners that were cut when I first joined the industry.
Yeah.
It was, you look at it now and you think, oh my Lord, we didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did. They did do that. But now, everything is aimed around, it's around speed of work. It's around safe work. Majority of it has got to be around safe work. So, our risk and method statements now have massively evolved. Our IT systems have massively evolved. The training for the engineers, again, we put a lot of effort into training the guys that we have working for us. So, we want them going to work in the morning. We want them going home at night time.
Yeah, crucial.
And it's also investing in those engineers. Yeah. So we're happy to do that. We invest in the engineers. We invest in their infrastructure with the new vehicles, the new kit. I nearly fainted the other day. We just signed off on a brand new tanker, and you really don't want to know how much that's just cost.
Really?
Brand new drainage tanker. It's the price of a house. Basically, honestly, it's just crazy. But the work is there for it again. And that comes down to, again, people trusting us to do their work, so they give us more. So we invest in the kit.
Yeah.
We invest in the engineers. We invest in the staff in the office. So, we put people through various different courses within the office structure as well.
Right. So learning and development is
we've just had Mel today who's finished a business degree. So we put all of these people through it. I mean, the lady I mentioned right at the very beginning who started with us when she was 18, she's still with us. She's the company PA. You can work out how old she is.
Yes.
From earlier on, but she's gone through her MBA. We've put through her MBA, so she's gone through all of this, and we've done that because it's investing in the people that work for us, and that literally is the only way to do it.
And there's a massive payoff for the business in the back end.
Well, of course there is. It doesn't always. I mean, you will get the people we've had people who've took the training, and then you turn around the next day and they've handed the notice in and gone somewhere else on a pay rise because they've got the training.
Yeah.
But it doesn't stop you then going on to the next person and investing in that person.
Yeah.
We've recently qualified for doing the maintenance, inspection, and install of fire doors.
Right.
Again, it's a massive amount of cash to do that. But again, that's because clients have come to us and said, do you do fire doors? Or, yes. So we've now invested in that side as well. We've started up our own projects division, so there's a separate entity that does the projects, which is, again, we were getting so many projects coming in that we couldn't cope with the projects within the rest of the business. So we've separated that off. We've got new project managers in there, and those guys are flying. I think, over the last couple of weeks, they've just got, I think it's £750,000 worth of work from one client because they did a really good job on the first one.
Yeah. Yeah, because kind of everything I'm getting from you is, the trust and integrity of the business and the standard of the work that you do has really helped. Both the culture, but also, the continuing growth of the business. That trust, I think, I always feel like the trust is the key element. They trust you to get the job done.
Yeah, it is. I mean, you've been in this industry years like me.
Yeah.
We all know companies who, in previously, and I will say pre-COVID, whose attitude was, well, if I lose that client, I don't care, I'll get another one.
Yes.
We both know companies who went through and do that. Surprising, must be really surprising to everyone that those companies are not here really anymore.
Yeah, yeah.
It's now the people who are saying, actually, that client pays the bills, so that client's going to get 110% of my attention.
Without a doubt.
It's those companies who are starting to thrive.
Yeah.
The ones who don't care and, I'm not bothered, I'll treat my staff like rubbish. There's a skill shortage within the industry, so they soon find that they lose those engineers to companies who are going to look after them.
Without a doubt. Yeah. Brilliant. Good stuff. Okay, so moving back to sort of your career. So what advice would you give to someone who was interested in starting a career within, your industry in facilities management?
Advice on a career, it depends where they're coming from. If they're coming from an engineer point of view, I'd say align yourself with a company which is going to give you the ability to grow.
Yeah.
As I say, there's still a lot of companies out there who want an engineer to be an engineer, to stay an engineer.
Yeah.
But there are a lot more companies out there who want to take on an engineer, invest in their growth, because that benefits the company. You can get a standard engineer who will turn into a supervisor, who will become a manager, who will go up the ladder, then that's a lot more beneficial than having someone who's just happy to sit in a van and plod along and not put any effort into what they're doing.
Completely agree. I mean, I think that somebody who's enthusiastic about their work will always do a better job. Yeah. Always. And, enthusiasm, that comes from working for a company you enjoy working for, that's giving you the development and so on and so forth. So I think if you invest in those individuals, you're always going to offer a better level of service to all of your providers.
And with that type of person as well, you're always going to get the loyalty. A man who's prepared to just, or a woman, whoever is going to prepare to just to sit in a van and drive around and do the job, got no interest in it, just wants to go home.
Yeah, get paid.
Is never going to be as reliable as someone who's actually wants to learn, wants to progress.
Yeah.
So I would always say that to people: if you're going to get into the industry, then get somewhere where they're going to look after you. Get somewhere where they're going to invest in you as a person and help you grow, because that benefits you, benefits your families, benefits everyone around you.
Completely agree. Yeah, and you get that longevity as well.
Yeah,
which is I think nice. You're not looking over at your shoulder all the time trying to look at the next opportunity.
No, so I've got engineers who are with me now who were at the previous company who didn't like it there, so they've been with us for 11 years. And, they'd been with us a couple of years before that, but they stayed at the previous company because of people like myself and Glenn.
Yeah.
So, they've been, 13, 14 years with us. And they've got no intention of going anywhere else. They're happy. They're happy with their wages. They're happy with their life. They've been trained. We upgrade their kit all the time. We offer all sorts of other little incentives and things like that for them. Yeah. So they're not going to go anywhere.
Yeah.
And skill sausage or not, if you treat people that way, they're going to stay with you.
I completely agree. Sold on that one, without a doubt, Steve. Good stuff. Okay, so just moving on to the next question. I always like to ask this because I find the responses really, really interesting. How do you see artificial intelligence impacting the industry you work in? The benefits and the cons?
I was at a networking event a little while ago, and they were discussing artificial intelligence, and I found it absolutely fascinating because I've been dealing a lot at the moment with IoT and building intelligence.
Yeah.
Now, it's really weird. I mean, you're from a soft service background.
Yeah.
I'm from a hard service background. So it's always been there's always been a line down the middle. It's always been slightly separate. But the stuff that's coming through at the moment is absolutely amazing. You get, I mean, I'll tell you some of the sensors. You can get sensors that will sit in a room and tell you when it needs venting because of CO2 emissions. You can get one that'll tell you what the temperature is because it goes onto the radiators. That tells you what the measurement is, what the temperature is on the radiators.
Right.
We can put sensors now onto hot water pipes. So instead of doing a weekly draw through and a temperature check, it will tell you how many times water's been drawn out of it, what the temperature is in it.
Really?
We can put sensors into toilet roll holders. So your cleaners within your building know when they need to go to that particular toilet because the toilet roll holder is running out.
Yeah.
The amount of these things, even down to filter systems, AV, this lot here.
Yeah.
We can put a sensor on either side of it to tell you what the pressure is coming through those filters, so you know when you need to change those filters.
Wow.
Now, all of this is years and years ago would have to be connected to a BMS system.
Yep.
It would have to be integrated. If you put it into a building, you'd be knocking down walls, you'd be channeling out. Everything now is it's retrofit. Everything's retrofit. There's no wiring.
Yeah.
Most of the systems out there now don't even work on wireless. They work on an RF system.
Right.
So if you've got a building which is a data center, or it's something you can't really connect to the Wi-Fi for security reasons.
Yeah.
It runs on a radio frequency.
Right.
So that all that things, even down to flood defense systems, you can put flood detectors under floorboards, under anywhere you want, and tell you if there's an issue.
Yeah.
It's the IoT stuff at the moment. I know one building, shan't name it, but I know one building within a week of the system going in, they'd say £50,000.
Really?
When the building was refitted, the BMS system wasn't calibrated correctly and it was set to come on at night time. So the building had been heating and cooling and doing everything at night time when there's no one in the building.
Ah.
So, but all of these systems are completely independent of the BMS system.
Yeah.
So, we can put them onto electric meters so we can read your meter.
Mm.
So if you're in a commercial unit, say it's a remote building, then you can put them on the meters so you don't have to send someone out.
It's like a smart meter at home then.
Yeah, just connects to the meter and it reads it for you. But these can go on older meters. So it's not so much, the smart meters will read what electric is being used. These can actually physically read your meter.
Right.
So there's all sorts of things like that. There's new systems coming out where you can do the drop test on the emergency lighting. It tests the emergency lighting for you. Instead of, as always, you have to send someone along. They click it on, click it off, and it's tested. This does it remotely. And it can do it, every 5 minutes, every 10 minutes, every couple of hours. A specified time.
Right.
And the good thing with all these systems they're all remote, so they all connect via RF signals. They all go directly to a dashboard on your laptop, so you can have a dashboard set up. What you then do is you have parameters set up on your dashboard, so if you say actually that room or that water in that tap needs to be X amount hot, if it goes above that or below that, an alarm will go off and it will tell you actually that hot water is not right.
Yeah.
If this room becomes too hot or there's too much CO2 in it, it will actually, you set the parameters and it will say actually that room's not right. You need to vent that room now.
Yeah.
It's amazing stuff that's coming through.
So would you say that potentially the future where artificial intelligence would be that these sensors can be integrated into a BMS and then once you hit certain metrics, it just gets changed automatically without any kind of human intervention? Could that happen? I mean, I don't know.
I don't know whether the BMS industry would cover that.
Right. No, fair enough. Yeah.
But as I say, it can be run as an independent thing. Now, the question should have been the other way around, whether at some point in the future...
I don't know hard services, Steve,
whether this system will replace the BMS system.
Well, actually, yeah, fair comment.
I don't know. Everything is slightly up in the air at the moment.
Yeah.
It's an add-on.
Yeah.
To a BMS system. But in the future, I don't know. It's still very much. It's going to go one way or the other.
Yeah. I think it's going to go very quick.
It's It's all going to come down to the design side of things, because if designers pick up on this and decide, actually, we don't need those big machines everywhere and all the wires in the wall. Let's do this via sensors and RF signals and all the rest of it. So that, how much is that going to save? Or it could be that they turn around and say, actually, let's integrate this into a bit. It's whichever way the system is going at the moment and whichever way it comes out.
Yeah.
But whichever way it is, it's making buildings better for people.
Yeah.
Who wants to go into a meeting room when it's, the CO2 in the cabin and everything is through the roof?
Yeah.
Because that's not a nice place to work.
True.
So it will tell you it needs venting. Who needs to send a cleaner every 1 hour to a particular toilets to do something when you don't need to?
Yeah.
That cleaner can be off and utilised somewhere else.
It's about being efficient.
It's making everything more and more efficient. You need to send an engineer into a building once a week to test the temperature on a tap and draw through water, when actually that guy's time or girl's time can be spent better placed somewhere else.
Yeah.
It's moving very, very quickly, and it's only over the last couple of years, the last 18 months, 2 years, and it's now starting to take off.
Yeah.
Big.
Yeah.
Big. So I think in the next 18 months, the growth in the IoT bit is just going to be massive.
Yeah,
massive.
It's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
Watching how it pans out across hard and soft services, actually. And across that total FM piece, because there's going to be innovations and things that come out that even you or I aren't even considering at the minute, I think. So, I think it's going to be very interesting.
Yeah, it's as I say, it's crazy. It's sensors on the desk, so who sat there and how long they're sat there for, and it's you've been sat down too long. You need to get up and move. I was chatting to someone the other day, and there's a system they're looking at where it's you don't use a physical computer. Yeah. You have a screen and you have a board, and you log onto the internet, it goes up, and your whole office is based on there, and it's controlled by your phone. So you put your phone down, it tells you, actually, this person likes the temperature at this person needs to connect to that, it connects to the other. The whole thing is just massively mushrooming at the moment.
It's becoming really intuitive, isn't it?
Yeah, the whole thing. Yeah.
So, I don't know. Is it a bit? Are we going to forget how to be people? Do you think? Because if I've got a computer telling me when to stand up or when to sit down, are we going to lose some skills? I
don't think you're going to lose skills. I think you're just going to make the environment better for people to work in.
Yeah.
As I say, if who wants an employee or who wants someone sat at their desk for 5 hours without moving? Yeah. That's not healthy for that person.
That's very true.
Who wants a room which if you've got 20 people sat in a room and they're in there 4 hours, the carbon, everything is going to go through the roof. The CO2 is going to go through the roof in there. That's not healthy for them people. So what you're doing is you're providing a better work environment. So then you get more. Again, as before with engineers, you get more people then saying, actually, I want to work for that company.
Yeah. We'll have to watch those micromanagers out there, though, Steve, won't we?
Yeah. Hey, don't do that.
Make sure that they don't utilise it as a...
You will get someone to do that, but then people will just move elsewhere.
Very true. Very true. People will vote with their feet, won't they?
Yeah, of course they will.
Yeah. Okay, brilliant. Really interesting. Interesting concept. So in your area of expertise, okay, how does environmental, social and governance issues impact what you do on a daily basis?
It impacts on everything. Massively on everything. All of our major clients now are massively pushing the carbon net zero.
Yep.
Sustainability. They're all pushing it, and we are as well. It makes us more aware of our responsibilities. So, whereas before, 20 years ago, you got a skip outside, you threw everything in the skip. No one really cared; it went in the skip.
Yeah.
Now we're more cautious about what we do with things, where things go, what can we reuse. We do a lot. If we have spare materials, we can donate them. It's just making people massively aware. Most of the networking events that I run, which we'll probably come on to in a minute, they're all neutral, carbon neutral. So we have a company called Neutral Carbon who they come in, and anything that we do, anything that we organise now will be net zero.
Yeah.
So again, that's a lot of people now are being stopped from doing certain things because it's not good for the environment. It's not very good on the carbon neutral side. So anything that we can do to push that and help it is better for everyone.
Yeah, I think I think a lot of business is going through a re-education really in relation to how we all operate within the space to make sure that we're doing the right thing for the right reasons, and we're not creating any issues or anything like that. But I mean, it's great. I've said this before on the podcast. I think that our industry has taken hold of this probably better than most industries out there. I think that we've really done well, because obviously I write tenders same as you do. I expect, Steve. So I see what clients want and I see how companies are, responding to those requirements in a very positive way. They're all, I think the industry as a whole is invested in it and trying to do the right thing.
I think it's the same as anything within this industry. The health and safety 20 years ago, it was there. But it wasn't where it should be. Now that progressed forward very, very quickly to where it is now. And it's the same with, sustainability and the environmental side. That came in a few years ago. It's always been there, but it's been one of them things that, do we have to? But now it's become more of we have to, we want to.
It's a real focus.
Yeah, exactly. And it's the same with most things within the industry. They've all took hold and then been moved forward, and it's exactly the same with that now.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting to see how it plays out.
It's the same as the IoT stuff. There's a couple of big things over the next few years. You'll be sat here in 5 years' time going, "Oh my God!"
Yeah, it'd be quite interesting in 5 years' time to listen back to have this podcast again in 5 years' time and talk about how that has actually changed. Like, Steve, you said this then, but look at what's happened.
I know. Well, I'd say 2 years, not 5 years.
Yeah. Let's do one every 2 years. Yeah.
2 Northerners on a podcast.
2 Northerners on a podcast. Say the world to rights. Sounds good. All right. So moving on to, what do you think the future landscape of facilities management on the whole looks like?
I don't think a lot of it will change. I think it will improve. And I think, the IoT side and the carbon neutral side will improve it. Yeah. But you're always going to need bots. You're always going to need someone to manage something. You're always going to need engineers on site to manage and to repair things. That is not going to change. What you will end up with better educated, better trained, more qualified, more aware people on sites. Yeah. We've all met the guys on sites who, just want to go in at 8 o'clock and finish at 4, or go in at 9 and finish at 5. They don't care. No. If it's recyclable, they don't care. They'll throw it in the bin because we've all met those people. Yeah. But those people are gradually being either educated or moved out of the system. Yeah. So I don't think it'll change a massive amount because you can't get rid of the physical element of what we do. That's a really fair comment. You can't, you've got to change a toilet roll in the toilets. Yeah. You've got to change a light bulb. You've got to fix the door handle when someone breaks it. You all these physical things you have to do. Yeah. We'll be more efficient doing them. You stock ordering, things on site, the engineer, how he does his work. He takes a door handle off. What happens with the door handle? Is it recyclable? Is it, can it be repaired? Does it need to go into the scrap? Does it need to go into waste? All of those things, I think people become more and more aware of. But you are never going to get rid of the physical element. No, I mean, technology is an enabler, isn't it? Yeah. But it's you're never going to have. We're not going to have that Terminator scenario where you've got a robot with 2 legs, a brain, and 2 arms that can do everything that we. Well, I don't think so anyway. But not in our lifetime.
Not in our lifetime. No. It would be very interesting to see it, though, wouldn't it? Yeah. To be fair. Okay, brilliant. So, how do you? So we're going to talk a little bit about how you stay informed about developments in there, and then I want to kind of go into the networking, which I know that you're a massive proponent of, and I'd like you to talk about how that can help people throughout their career in the industry. So let's start with stay informed of new developments and trends within the industry. How do you do that?
I personally think that goes in with the networking.
The networking. You say what you need to say. Yeah.
I think the whole thing works together because, you are right. I network. Yep. People know me. As I said in my post the other day, people know me either by my shirts or by my networking.
I am jealous of your networking ability, Steve. Without a doubt, 100% jealous of it.
I have been told that I network a little bit. Yeah. slightly.
Not a bad thing, though. A great thing, I think.
No, it is a great thing. Someone says to me, why do you do so much networking? Well, it's quite straightforward. Where else are you going to get the clients from? Where else are you going to get the contacts from?
Completely agree.
If I walk into a room and I've got 70 people networking in a room, that's 70 potential clients.
Yep.
Now, a lot of people say, well, yeah, but some of them do the same as you do. Well, great. Do they do everything I do? Do they subcontract work out? Do they have work that they can't cover themselves?
Yeah.
All of those things come into networking. It isn't just a straight line of, he's hard services, you can't talk to him. The amount of people who have said that to me is just ridiculous.
Yeah.
He's hard services, you can't talk to him. Well, I can, because he might not be hard services at that company for the rest of his life. He might move somewhere else. So it's a contact.
Yeah.
He may not do everything that I do. There may be something he does which I need. Yeah. There may be something I do that he needs.
Yep.
There may be contacts of his who are looking for something that I do that he doesn't. So that's the art of networking. It's making the connections. And you are right, I do run a lot of networking. We ran the NC networking event.
Yeah.
We ran that for a few years, and that was born out of COVID.
Yep. I attended a few, actually. Yeah, they were good.
They were always really well attended, but that came out of a Teams thing during COVID.
Right.
So it was myself, a lady called Claire Curran, who owns a company called Lineker's.
I know Claire. Yeah.
Who's now the first ever female president of BISO.
Fantastic.
Claire, Lee Palmer, Rhiann Scott, and there was a group of us, Rob Knight, and we were all friends. We'd all met before. We were all friends. So, to save us sitting at home being bored, on a Thursday, we would have a quiz night.
Yeah.
Straightforward quiz night.
Fair enough.
Did get messy sometimes. It did turn into a, 2:00 in the morning trying to find the stuff that you brought back from Greece 10 years ago, which no one's ever drank. We even got to the point we were doing karaoke.
Right.
In the middle of the night. It was just, but everyone sat at home. You couldn't get out. You couldn't do anything. So when we came out of COVID, the first thing we said was, why don't we take this on the road? This has been really good. Yeah. We all had a lot of connections, so we started the NC. So it's predominantly run by myself and Rhiann Scott of RS Elite. So we set everything up, we did it, and it took off really, really well. We had anywhere from 50 to 70 people coming along to the events. Yep. And that kept going for about 2 years. But as with any networking event, as with anything in life, you have to spruce it up a little bit, let it grow, and then make changes. So on the back of that, we were involved in something called Yes We Can with a gentleman called Derry Long. Yes We Can is a pre-MIPIM Cannes event. So it's every year one of the largest developer construction events in Europe is in Cannes. Right. So we started a Yes We Can pre-MIPIM. So we would have 300.
I like that. That's good.
We would have 300 people coming along. Yeah. And what it did, it broke the ice with people going over to Cannes. Yeah. So you would meet people. So you weren't rocking up over there not knowing anyone. Yeah. So you could make meetings, you could chat with people. The amount of work that came through it as well was just crazy. So there was that. Then, a little while ago, we had UK Reef in Leeds, which is a massive new event. Been going for it's the second year now, right. Which is aimed at councils, housing, developers, all that side. Yeah. So we organised Yes We Can UK Reef. So we had a nice little venue in Leeds. We were allowed to sell tickets up to 140. Yeah. We sold another 40 odd on the door. Wow. We ended up having to move downstairs, and we topped up at 400 plus people. Wow. So on the back of that, we were winding up NC. So what we've done is we've just combined the whole thing now. So Yes We Can goes live on the 28th of September. Right. In London. And again, we've got 250 people. So we've got sponsors, we've got everything. We've got singers, we've got bands on at the night. Yeah. And it's all about networking and making connections. Yeah. There's one the following week, which is, as we discussed earlier on, we can have a chat about that.
Yeah, we'll talk about that afterwards.
It's a very, very large event on the 5th of October, which I've been asked to host Yeah, we'll have a chat about that.
You're basically Van Wilder, party liaison, aren't you, Steve?
I have been told that I do organise a very good event.
Yeah.
But they're good events because we get the right people there. We engage with people. You know, if we get new people coming in, we'll take them and introduce them to other people. I mean, one of the biggest ones I did was we had, when we were doing the NC, a gentleman walked up the stairs looking like a rabbit in a headlights. First event he'd ever been to. Went and met him at the stairs, introduced myself, got him chatting about what he does. Because it doesn't matter what I do.
Yeah.
That'll come out and we can chat that later, but it's what you do.
Yeah.
He told me. I'd had a conversation earlier on in the evening with someone about a similar thing, so I introduced the two of them, and he walked out at the end of the night with his largest ever single order of £20,000.
Wow.
But that's engaging with people.
Yeah.
That's understanding what networking is. Networking is all about what we can do for each other, what I can do for you, and then potentially what you can do for me. It isn't about, I want this off you.
No, I agree.
And that's the biggest issue with people and networking, is a lot of people think you can just rock up and say, I sell this, you're all going to buy it off me. Yeah. That's never going to work.
No. Well, I think the other thing that networking does, and I think that you do it incredibly well, is it brings, it creates those essential supply lines to people who operate across the facilities management industry. So, if you go to one of these networking events, I think sometimes people are a little bit scared of them. Like they think they're going to walk into them and 10,000 salespeople are going to go, rah! And just start attacking them and things. But it doesn't work like that. It is very much, I mean, the events that I've been to that you're involved in, I think the first one I came to, you actually came up the stairs and you bought me a drink, actually, first time we'd met.
Oh, don't tell people that.
No, well, maybe I must have been special. I don't know. But I think, you did set me at ease, which is quite important. And I think, but it creates those links. So if you're a facilities manager or a property manager, I think, and you're looking for, good service partners that you can trust and rely on, sometimes these events are crucial because that builds your network. So, and you need those relationships as you go through your career in facilities management.
The big event I've got going on in October is it's not so much aimed at the suppliers of the people I'm organising the event for. It isn't aimed at those people.
Yeah.
There'll be one or two of them there, but the majority of the people there will be people who are on the outside looking in, who are one step away from being able to work with those people, but have never had the opportunity. So, we work in conjunction with the people we're organising it for, and we'll bring those people in so they've got the ability to be introduced to that group. And that's the best way to do it. That's bringing extra suppliers in. It's bringing new suppliers in to that group and to that company. So, but we've done them. I've done them in Scotland. I've done them in Leeds. I've done them in Manchester. I've done them in Birmingham. We've done them all over the place. And as I say, they tend to work. We like a nice, friendly event. We like an event where people are chatting. We like an event where no one is scared to ask a question. If I see you stood there, it's the first thing I'll say is, what you're looking to achieve, who do you want to chat to? Then I'll take you to the people. I'll introduce you to the people, which I have done. I'll introduce you, I'll start the conversation, and then you take it from there. And it works for most people, unless you get the one who walks in and, as I say, I sell stationery, you're all going to buy off me. No, that's not how it works.
It doesn't work like that.
No, it's not.
They do exist, though, Steve.
They do. I've had them walk in. I've had them walk in. I've had to walk into events, and it's like, well, I've not enjoyed this event. Well, why not? Well, because I'm trying to sell my stuff to everyone. Well, okay, so would you like someone to just come marching up to you and start trying to sell to you? Or would you like to have a conversation with someone about what you do and what they do, and then see where the synergy is? And then see how you can work together
collaboratively.
Exactly. That's networking.
It is. Completely agree. Brilliant. Thank you very much. That's really interesting, that, Steve. Really interesting. I think that, the power of networking across the industry needs to be looked at more intensely, I think.
Yeah.
Because I think that it could be really beneficial. Okay, so we haven't got time for all the questions, Steve. I
do tend to talk a lot.
It's all right. It's all right. It's been very interesting.
It's the filter bit as well. People do tend to say, Steve, you don't have a filter.
No, it's great.
No idea what one of them is. So.
Yeah. Well, you haven't sworn yet, Steve, so that's really good.
I know. It's unusual for me.
Yeah,
I'm behaving myself. I'll get one in before then, you're all right.
Yeah. You can swear when we have a drink after. Yeah. Okay, so what would you say? So what's your greatest achievement or some of your greatest achievements in your career in facilities management?
Greatest achievement really is advance. Because as I say, to start from scratch, I mean, we literally started from nothing. No clients, absolutely nothing. From a little small office with, as I say, the two of us and an apprentice. To where we are now. I mean, there's 75 engineers on the road. There's 34 in the office.
That's excellent growth.
We've got MDs in each of the divisions now, so it frees up time for me to carry on seeing clients and doing that side of things. As I say, that is probably my biggest achievement. And that, again, most of that is down to my business partner, Glenn.
Yeah.
Because we have a very unique relationship. It's quite simple. I enjoy networking. I enjoy seeing clients. I enjoy getting out. Glenn likes the office. He likes that side of things.
Fair enough.
We tend to work well together on that. But my biggest achievement is that. That's it.
Well, look, congratulations. That's no small achievement. I think both you, Glenn, and also all of your engineers and your teams, you should be congratulated for going, through a difficult period during COVID and bringing the business back and really growing it. So, congratulations to you all. Okay, lastly, we always like to learn a little bit about our guests on the show. So just tell us a little bit about what gives you the greatest satisfaction from work and also from a personal perspective.
Personal, it's I mentioned before. I'm really proud at the moment. My daughter lives in Australia. She's an ex-international football player.
Is she? I was going to ask you to tell us a little bit about that.
She's played all over the UK. She's playing since she was 4 years old. Back in the day when girls' football wasn't like it is now. When I had to qualify as an FA coach because they couldn't get any coaches, and the referees wouldn't do anything, wouldn't turn up. We got no money. We had to scrounge around for sponsorship for shirts, so we'd get the lads cast off shirts.
Wow, right.
So she's played all over the country. She's played over in France. She's played over in America. She moved to Australia 6 years ago. Carried on playing for New South Wales, and unfortunately got took out by another lady and bust her ankle. So she had to stop playing.
240 tackle, is it?
Yeah, big lovely tackle. So
dirty.
But she's massively into, she's amazing woman. She's now doing, her and a partner, who's a police sergeant and an auxiliary fire person over there.
Right.
They're now doing a run from the Gold Coast down to Sydney in conjunction with the World Cup.
That's a long way as well, actually.
It's 1,000 kilometres, so it's 32 kilometres a day for 32 days.
Wow.
While dribbling a ball.
Oh, God. Right.
So she's just up towards, I think tomorrow's the halfway line.
Yeah.
So she's trying to raise $500,000 or Australian dollars for women's mental health in sport over in Australia. She's done it all herself. She's got the sponsors herself. She's got everything sorted herself. So I say her and her partner, she's just been amazing. They're just literally travelling all the way down the coast, and she's gone through. I mean, you can imagine this is Australia. She's gone through the rain, through the winds, through the heat, through the kangaroos in the middle of the road.
Kangaroos, and they're far more dangerous than people realise as well, Steve.
Yeah, and then she's got dogs chasing her up the road because they want the football. She's had absolutely everything. So. She finishes off at the World Cup final, but she's been, there's a lot of involvement from, the women in sport, from FIFA, from all those guys as well. So she finishes right up at the World Cup final. So that's just absolutely amazing. So if anyone is on LinkedIn or anything, just look her up. It's Fran Hurndall. And just, give her a cheer.
Yeah. If anybody wants to donate to a great cause.
The link's on there. So that's most of my time is my kids and my grandkids. Anyone who knows me knows exactly what I'm like with my grandkids.
Yeah.
They get away with absolute bloody murder.
Do they?
Yeah, and they get everything. I've got it, they can have it.
How many have you got?
I've got 3 grandkids now.
Wow.
3. 2 5-year-olds and a 3-year-old.
Twins or?
No. My eldest daughter has a 5-year-old and a 3-year-old, and my youngest daughter, who moved back in with me at the start of COVID.
Yeah.
Literally, as COVID kicked off, she moved in. So anyone who saw any of my videos and anything over the time will know exactly what I mean. I had a 2-year-old running around then. And he's still with me now. So
yeah,
it's great. He knocks on the door in the morning. Granddad, can I play your Xbox? Yeah.
Go on then.
Yeah,
away you go.
Yeah. Leave me alone. I'm going to sleep.
Yeah, to be fair, my daughter Abigail was born during COVID, actually. So she is a COVID baby, I suppose.
Yeah.
But actually, do you know what? It was actually really nice because with my other 2 children, I missed everything. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But because I was working from home a lot, or it was a lockdown or anything like that, I was there for everything. I saw, the first time she rolled over, the first time she walked, all those things that I think when you're working full time, you tend to miss. But I got to see it all, and I'm guessing you got to see a lot of stuff as well.
I got exactly the same thing with the grandkids, because I was exactly the same as you. When the kids were growing up, I was out, when I first moved down from Manchester to Essex, I was doing 3 jobs.
Yeah.
When I first moved down there 36 years ago, I was doing 2-3 jobs. It's what we had to do.
Yeah.
So I missed
kids need feeding, Steve, don't they? Unfortunately,
so I missed a lot of it. But with my grandkids, I got to see all of it, which was great. And I get to give them back at the end of the night when they're getting on my nerves as well.
Yeah. Once you filled in full of sweets.
Yes. Yeah. So that's basically my out of work time is either organising networking events or the grandkids.
Oh, absolutely fantastic. Well, listen, Steve, that's the end of the episode. Thank you very much for joining us on Wear Many Hats for our 22nd episode. All right, listeners, another interesting one. Steve's given us some really good content to think about. If anybody wants to reach out to him for any reason, feel free to do so. That's our 22nd episode. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Cheers, Steve. Bye-bye.